has two cards, and right now he has 6 cards, and then this is a history cards I sent to that site, and then maybe you can use another card, different card, and so on. And security token server is card itself doesn't include store any information. It's a kind of link to data, so real data is stored in security token server, so that if you send a card, with that information in the card, real data will be sent by security token server. And the relying party, of course, consume that kind of identity data. So this is a little bit detailed, but by the way, open source software is available, so you can use identity selector even in a Unix environment. Also Mac too. And maybe I'm gonna skip this, but this is a flow of information card. And OpenID 2.0. 2.0 is important portion. Actually, there is OpenID 1.1 and 1.2 or something. But in 2.0 version, similar protocols are merged into one, and then at that time, OpenID has been becoming very popular, and it's used in many major sites like Google, and recently Windows Live announced to support OpenID. Actually, it is very similar to SAML protocol which I explained. Actually, OpenID 2.0 flow is very similar. Actually, use HTTP redirection, and different point is that only different point is how to locate identity provider, because user provides location of IDP as a URL, so service provider easily finds OpenID location, OpenID provider location. That's the main difference, but other protocol of sequence are almost the same. And of course, OpenID use global ID, so use exactly the same ID for all other relying parties. So that may cause some privacy problem, maybe, but much lighter protocol than SAML. That is one of the reasons people are use OpenID 2.0. And standardization status of OpenID is currently completed single sign-on and attribute exchange, and in PAPE, actually OpenID provider authentication policy extension is called PAPE. Recently, I think standardization process recently completed. Maybe at the draft level, but so standard. Maybe I have only 5 minutes. So again, as I explained, there are 3 different protocols, but standard harmonization are going on at the most famous project is Concordia project, and people are working on together to harmonize these protocols. And here is some example, but I don't have a time to explain this. But so if you are interested in, I'm gonna send these slides. And there are some use cases. For instance, SAML is very successful in enterprise market and mobile and telecom. NTT also provides commercial services using SAML 2.0 for over 20 million users right now. And for instance, France Telecom in France provides over services with using SAML for more than 50 million users. So it's a very popular. And also this news is also was announced yesterday. Geneva, the successor of Microsoft Active Directory File Server ADS-FS will support SAML 2.0. So this is will have a great impact in enterprise market. I mean, adoption of SAML in enterprise market, I think. And here is some which I explained. So we are providing services over 20 million users right now, and this is important. Lessons learned. So system analysis and design of identity management systems should consider migration procedure, and troubleshooting problem tracking is very important, because as I explained in a canonical view of identity, it's very complicated. So if something wrong with identity, it's really difficult to trace back, because I mean on purpose we make it difficult. So I mean if something wrong, it's really difficult to trace. And right now, I mean, there's no reliability scheme that makes everyone happy. Especially relying party by definition rely on IDP for the authentication. So if something wrong happens at the IDP, who should be responsible, or who is liable? That is a problem we haven't solved yet. And good news is eliminating login barrier will increase service usage. Actually, in some cases, I mean we observed this in constantly in different cases in France and in Japan. More than 203% increase of usage we observed. Actually, because maybe I'm gonna explain if you are interested in. And SAML adopted by e-government in the world. In this case, more than close to 30 government organizations are adopting SAML. And identity as a service are becoming a very important trend. And then in this year, already several startups are established for the identity as a service. So it's becoming an important trend, I guess. And next generation network application, and also maybe I'm gonna explain some. And also another use case is digital TV, and also mobile is also important application. We have developed IDP on mobile phone, so it's an independent server on running on a mobile phone, so that you can use strong authentication of mobile phone for the for the web